In this episode, we talk a little Bo Jackson and some hot news that just came down the pipes.
No information obtained from the following production is legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship with the law office IAJ, Law LLC, or any attorney or professional appearing on this program. You should consult an attorney for individualized advice regarding your own situation or specific legal concerns.
Broadcasting from Edina, Minnesota, your host, Attorney Jasper Berg. Hashtag Jasper.
Why, hello there. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate your attention. I am your host, Attorney Jasper Berg, and this is Season 17, Episode 2. And right before I was about to come on the show, I did what I'm not supposed to do, and that is to quickly take a glance at some current events. And some of these current events are difficult to read. But basically, the one that stood out presently is an attack on Britain's internet cables. Their underground internet cables. Now, let's just hypothetically go there for just a second. This massive internet cable, I think it's underneath underneath the waterways, the oceans. And somehow it's just like this big, gigantic extension cord. And if it gets cut, it basically cuts off Britain from access to the World Wide Web. Now, maybe, just maybe, there's someone over there in Great Britain who does want to get cut off from the internet. Maybe they looked at, they need some relief from the interwebs. But, you know, these comical type scenarios, is somebody really going to dive into the ocean and cut their cord, their one cord that they have, of course. Let's assume there is only one. That's going to get cut, and then pretty much everyone is out. And if, you know, I don't know, I've put together some extension cords before, and one leads to another sometimes. So I would imagine France, Italy, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Spain, these other countries would be plugging into similar systems, I would imagine. Or does it get spliced off? I don't know. Maybe you got to know exactly where to cut the cord in order to exclude Great Britain from the World Wide Web. And that's assuming, of course, they also know how to get access to your Bluetooth. I'm kidding. Yeah. But anyways, let's just imagine that did happen. That would be pretty darn extreme, very dark to think about. But we got to have a backup plan. We got to be able to determine what to do in an emergency type setting if something horrible were to occur. Now, I think there was something that happened 3-4 years ago that put us all on alert. Your generation might know some things long before that. Likely your generation does. I think all of the generations have some sort of event that they can recall from memory that says, my goodness, we got to have a backup plan here. And that's kind of sort of what I do, is create backup plans. Really, the backup plan becomes the primary plan in lots of cases. When we think about our demise or something horrible going wrong, we're also assuming that we can magically think through with rational thought on what to do, how to do it. And that usually isn't the case. Something negative has happened where we can't even think through those things. And we have to depend upon other people. And giving up that kind of control isn't exactly comforting. Especially after, me personally. If I have to give up control at my age now, that feels a little easier than giving up control when I'm, say, 20 or 30. I don't know what happens, though. And as I get older, what I've seen is when we're 70, 80, 90, maybe not so much at the 90 threshold, but I've come across lots of 70-year-olds who don't want to give up control. They don't even want to put on paper the idea of giving up control. And I understand that. That is a scary thing. So, I don't know. I should not have looked at the news coming on before I did. If you have a comment on giving up control or need some sort of help, relief on that, you can call me. Chime in, 952-222-9462, and we'll be back in just a second. All right. Customer service. Customer service. Before I address Bo Jackson, one of my favorite athletes of all time, maybe yours, maybe you recall Bo Jackson. Shoot, let's talk about Bo Jackson. If you're unfamiliar, Bo Jackson was an athlete. He still is an athlete. But he was the number one athlete, in my humble opinion, in about late 80s, early 90s. What made him so elite? Well, he played multiple sports. You may have remembered or you recall some advertisement campaigns on the television. Bo knows. Bo knows. Bo Jackson played not one, but two professional sports and was paid handsomely for it. Played professional football for the Oakland Raiders. I think he had to come back somewhere else with another club. And played Major League Baseball. Started out with the Kansas City Royals. Moved on to, I think, maybe the Chicago White Sox and California Angels at the time. Now, what we know is the Los Angeles Angels. Maybe a couple other stops. Just an amazing athlete. And if you're looking for maybe even more in-depth feedback on Bo Jackson, there's a wonderful story about what happened to Bo Jackson as he was considering entering the draft and not playing for certain professional teams. But I'll let you explore that on your own time. Bo Jackson. If you get a chance, you can go out to my Instagram account. I got a photograph out there of a baseball card that I collected back in the day. Bo Jackson's baseball card, his rookie card. Maybe you have this same rookie card as I do. Saved up a ton of my allowance at the time to make a purchase of that baseball card. Maybe you went to, I think it was called what? Schinder's Sports, something like that. Schinder's Sports Cards. At the time, that was an amazing accomplishment at the time. Saving up enough allowance to purchase a rookie card, a traded rookie card at that. Something of value that I think appreciates over time. To date, I think if I were to sell that same baseball card, I might earn $1 above the purchase price. But why are we talking about Bo Jackson? Bo Jackson, here just a couple weeks ago, he had to sue his nephew and his niece. Did you see this? You got to go out there and take a look at the story. Bo Jackson had to sue his nephew and his niece for extortion. And Bo Jackson was awarded $21 million. Now, court judgments are certainly far different than collecting on some sort of award. That's a different topic for a different time. Completely different legal process. But he was awarded $21 million. And the most challenging, difficult thing about that story is that he literally had to sue his own family members, who put him in a very, very difficult spot. To the point where he had to litigate, bringing it into the open. He was being blackmailed, stalked. Bo Jackson, a world-renowned figure. And two of his biggest enemies shared the family name. Now, what would you do if you were put in a position where you had to sue your own nephew or niece, or maybe your own spouse or child? Or what if they sued you? Imagine the disaster that would create. The conflict. Now, maybe pursuing that legal remedy isn't necessarily the disaster. Maybe that's the relief that one needs. But any litigation, small and large, is extremely stressful. And you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Is it worth it? Am I going to get this monetary amount from the person that I sue? Or do I just need to clear my name? Now, there's a lot of value there in having a clearing your name. And I highly doubt that Bo Jackson was pursuing this for the monetary amount. Now, he may very well need that money to fix the damage that was caused by his nephew and niece. And certainly harassment and intimidation, no matter who you are, needs to be prevented, stopped, immediately. No one needs to go through that. But you have family members. I have family members. Are all of them, rational, reasonable people? Probably not. Maybe some of them are very reasonable, very straightforward, and are excellent role models for everybody else in your family. And you want their help. You want their feedback. That's even better. That's the better side of this. But can you imagine going down that road? Maybe creating a backup plan, an estate plan, if you will. You're in your 50s, 60s, 70s. You're older, and you find out then, when it's too late because you just don't have the time and energy to go through this again, that your nephew and niece are going to reap the rewards of your labor. Because maybe your brother or your sister had predeceased, or we don't have children, you don't have children, or maybe you do. I don't. The family dynamics and the combinations are endless. The point here is you can put your intentions on paper and help yourself in the future to make sure that those that you love are protected. And if a backup plan needs to be implemented, whether you're trying to preserve some sort of internet connection or prevent these harmful actors or characters or beneficiaries, whatever name you want to attach to it, from depleting and crushing everything you've worked for, I think there's some opportunities. I don't know. Let me know what you think. 952-222-9462. See you in a second. Well, the choppers are coming, and that brings me to maybe a segment I want to call the Military Minute. I'm not exactly sure yet. Bear with me as I develop this. Are you familiar with 38 USC 5315? The USC standing for, of course, United States Code, not the University of Southern California. 38 United States Code 5313. Hey, Jasper, what's the difference between USC and CFR? Well, that's the topic of another show. Code of Federal Regulation, if you're keeping track. But if you're a military family and you have ever received a letter on behalf of a loved one or even yourself, and you are being charged interest and administrative costs due to some sort of overpayment or incorrect payment of benefits, and that term benefit, military benefit, is just a very, very challenging word. If I could go back in time and lobby to have that word changed, I would. There's so many other different types of words that could help us kind of decode these benefits and these programs. See, I just used it myself. Decode these programs, which kick in on so many different time frames. Probably the strongest military benefit are those that we receive when, or at least potentially eligible for in our latter years. But wherever you are, early on, late on, in the mid, wherever you are in your season, there is this rule. And it talks about whether or not the government can add interest and administrative costs onto some sort of overpayment. And maybe this is specific to some sort of disability compensation that you've received, maybe a pension, military pension. Okay, well, all kinds of questions about what a military pension is. Let's not go down that path right now. Educational assistance. Or here's the big one, just care of services. Very complicated. But the general rule should always be, I'm a member of the military or a veteran, or my family is the survivor, or maybe the caregiver, or guardian, or conservator, whatever position you're in. And the general rule should always be, I should not have to pay this interest. I should not have to pay this administrative cost. And now we need to fight. We need to fight this one out because I can't afford it, or this is unjust. This wasn't my mistake. I need a waiver. I need a reduced repayment plan, whatever. These programs are there to help us. But the people or the system facilitating the benefit, again, there I use that word again. They make it so hard. I don't know. Maybe you found the same to be true. But check it out. 38 USC 5315. All right, customer service. I really take a lot of pride in my customer service. I am the face of my law practice. I have to be the best experience I can possibly provide to those that I serve. I do everything in my power to make that experience elite. I don't know if I get there all the time, but that's my goal personally. And that interaction, human to human, is so important. Now, sometimes we have to use different means to connect human to human, maybe through a podcast, social media, telephone. That's important to me. Hopefully it's important to you too. But I went out, golly, this happened back to back. My shopping, if you will, kind of all over the board. Combination of going into brick and mortar stores, shopping online. That experience really has to be top notch for me to go into the store. At least that's what I want. And I went into 2 stores back to back, and I'm telling you, the customer service was ugly. You probably experienced this yourself. I went to Target. Should I even be naming them? Yes, of course. And I went through the line. I didn't do the self-checkout thing. I went through the line. And this person was young, had a cold. Now, a short period of time ago, we'd all be masked up, have desanitizer everywhere. He probably wouldn't even be working if the manager even paid attention. But I guess those rules are blurred right now. I'm not exactly sure. Doesn't matter. Literally, a faucet is running through this person's nose. Takes his bare hand, cleans his nose, pushing his hand from his chin up to his forehead, and then taking his hand and wiping it through his hair. Now, as disgusting as that is, I just casually asked him, "How's your day going?" Because I noticed the person in front of me didn't have any human interaction. Not a hello, not have a good afternoon, thanks for helping me. None of that. Now, I put that a little bit on the customer for not engaging, but of course I put that on the cashier person. I think they should be engaging, and they weren't, except for these gross little maneuvers. And when it was finally my turn, I kind of said, "Hey, how's your day going?" I'd seen what he had done with his hand and the stuff coming out of his nose. I didn't say, "Hey, knock that off." I just raised the white flag on that one. But his response was the alarming piece. Basically, in all so many words, "I'd rather be somewhere else. This isn't worth my time." Well, guess what? I would have rather been anywhere there too. I didn't want to be out purchasing whatever I was purchasing. I think it was, I don't know, shaving cream and something. I don't even remember. But I would have preferred to have been just about anywhere else. And he made it very clear. Body language and his expressed statements. This was not for him. And I've gone back and forth. Am I going to go back to that? I don't know. Probably not. Where else do I go? I don't have a lot of options. And it's exhausting trying to find a product or a service elsewhere and travel here, travel there. But I can't live with just bad customer service. I'm not going to do it. I probably can't change that event, and if I raise that to another person at the store, they're not going to do anything about it. And even if they did, what good does that do? Me. Nothing. Now, in just a few, 20 minutes thereafter, I went to another store, Minnesota-based. They have a blue logo. They sell a lot of electronic equipment. Yellow lettering. And, like a fool, I expected quality care, quality customer service. Just answer a few questions. I don't have a lot. I can figure it out. I just had a couple of questions. Well, finding someone for the questions, pointless. And when I did finally make a choice and made it up to the register, my purchase was not as important as the messages coming to this other person on the other side of the register and their cellular device. Now, certainly, if a family emergency popped up, I get it. But I don't think that was the case here. This was more of a, I don't know. I don't even know what it is. Maybe I should assume that positive intentions and their family member was sending them an important message about what they had to do after the working hours. I don't know. My expectation of customer care, customer service, that human experience, I take that pretty darn personally. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not even saying that. But man, the bar has been lowered so far. I do expect a little bit more. All right. One more segment and we'll close out the show. See you in a second. All right, I got a lot of feedback about, this is only episode number 2 for Pete's sake, and I got a lot of feedback about concluding with the story about our family pets. And I'm going to get to that story, I promise you, but there's the music again. I'm going to get to that story. Go back to my Instagram account. You can see a photo of my family pet and me as a young lad in the early 90s. And we'll catch that on the other side. Have a great day.
Jasper thanks you for listening. Please subscribe or share this production.